I picked up my overnight bag and my briefcase and walked up the stone path to the front door. I unlocked it slowly and quietly, hoping I might catch her off guard. The smell of lavender candles drifted through the house. That was Olivia's thing at night, always had been. From upstairs, I could hear music playing, but it wasn't the classical stuff she usually liked. This was something newer, louder, with a heavy beat. I set my bags down by the door and called out her name. Olivia? No answer. The music kept pounding from above. I headed up the stairs, my hand sliding along the smooth wooden railing like I'd done 1,000 times before. The door to our bedroom was cracked open, warm light spilling into the hallway. I pushed the door wider, ready to say I was home. That's when I heard her voice. Only she wasn't talking to me. "He's so predictable," she said. I froze, one foot still in the hallway. Olivia was sitting on our bed with her back to me, phone pressed to her ear. She hadn't noticed me yet. She laughed. Light, carefree, and wrong in a way I couldn't quite explain. "A walking bank account," she said. "Ethan, baby, just wait." My stomach dropped. Once the divorce is final, I'll be free. And I'll have everything. The words hit me hard, like a slap to the chest. My breathing tightened, but I stayed silent. Years of running a business had taught me how to keep my emotions locked down when it mattered. Instead of storming in or demanding answers, I stepped back. Slowly. Quietly. I faded into the hallway shadows. The closet door was slightly open, and through the gap, I could see her reflection in the mirror. She was smiling. Actually grinning. Twisting her hair around her finger like a teenager. "Yeah, I've been planning this," she said. "The lawyer says I'll get half of everything. Even his company shares." She laughed again. "No, he has no idea," she said. "He's too busy with his precious computers to notice what's happening right in front of him." Something inside me settled instead of breaking. My heart slowed. Where most guys might have fallen apart, my mind snapped into focus. I listened. Every word she said went into a mental file I knew I'd never forget. "The kids will adjust," she added. "They barely see him anyway. Always working. You're way more fun." That part was a straight-up lie. I made time for my kids. Homework, practices, school events, all of it. Olivia was the one who always had an excuse, always busy. "Next week, I'll give him the papers," she said. "After that, it's just a matter of time." That was enough. I stepped back down the stairs, grabbed my bags, and left the house without letting the door make a sound. I sat in my car for a while, not driving anywhere, just breathing and thinking. The betrayal wasn't just the affair. It was the planning. The lies. The cold calculation. She didn't just want my money. She wanted my kids. I drove around for about an hour, nowhere specific. When I finally headed back, I knew exactly what I'd do. I'd act normal. I'd kiss Olivia. Hug the kids. Smile like nothing was wrong. No one would know that everything had changed. An hour later, I walked back inside. "I'm home," I called out. Olivia appeared at the top of the stairs wearing a different outfit, smiling the same smile she always wore. Only now I could see how empty it was. "Back early?" she asked as she walked down toward me. "Finished sooner than I expected," I said. I let her kiss me and felt absolutely nothing. Leo came charging down the hallway and jumped into my arms. "Miss me, Dad?" "Always," I said. "Mom said we could have pizza tonight." "Can we?" he asked. "Of course," I said, setting him down. Isla appeared a moment later. She was quieter than her brother, but her smile was just as real. "Hey, Dad. How was the trip?" "Productive," I said, pulling her into a hug. She was growing fast. Soon she'd be taller than Olivia. "How's your science project coming?" I asked. "Almost done. Can you look at it later?" "Of course." At dinner, I kept the mask firmly in place. I laughed when it was expected. Asked about their day. I noticed Olivia checking her phone every few minutes, pretending she wasn't. I watched her across the table. A stranger wearing my wife's face. I couldn't believe I'd missed the signs. After the kids were asleep, I went to my office. I opened my laptop, but I didn't work. I planned. If Olivia wanted a war, I was ready. Just not the one she thought she was starting. I started typing. Names. Dates. Accounts. Assets. This wasn't about code anymore. This was about preparation. My fingers moved steadily, every keystroke pushing me closer to my next move. No anger. No panic. Just cold focus. For the next 7 days, I played my role. I went to work. Came home. Helped with homework. Slept next to Olivia like nothing was wrong. Behind the scenes, I prepared. I met my lawyer under the excuse of updating my will. I tracked expenses. Moved assets to safer places. Then, on the 8th day, she made her move. I was sitting at the kitchen table, drinking coffee, and reading the news on my tablet. The kids were upstairs, Isla helping Leo with a school project. The house was quiet except for the ticking of the old grandfather clock. Olivia walked in dressed perfectly, silk blouse, tailored pants, makeup done even though it was early. She carried a manila envelope. "We need to talk," she said, her voice calm but tight. I looked up without changing my expression. She sat across from me and placed the envelope on the table, tapping it twice with her finger. "This isn't working anymore, Nathan." "What isn't working?" I asked, taking another sip of coffee. "Us. This marriage." She slid the envelope toward me. "These are divorce papers. I've already spoken to a lawyer." I set my mug down slowly and opened the envelope, skimming the first page like it was just another document. Inside my head, everything was moving fast. Sunday morning. Kids home but distracted. Smart timing. She dressed up, expecting drama. Tears, maybe. How long? I asked, keeping my voice steady. "What?" she said, clearly caught off guard. "How long have you been planning this?" I asked. Olivia shifted in her chair, eyes darting for just a second. "Does it matter?" "It's over. You know that." I gave a slow nod. She was right about one thing. It was done. I reached into my jacket and pulled out a pen. The nice one she'd given me for our 10th anniversary. Funny how things circle back like that. I signed where needed, initialed the margins, dated the pages, and didn't hesitate once. "There," I said, sliding the papers back across the table. "Anything else?" She just stared at me. "That's it?" she asked. "No argument? No pleading?" I leaned back in my chair. "You want out. You're out." For a moment, uncertainty crossed her face. Then that familiar little smirk came back. "My lawyer will contact you about the kids and the assets." "Of course." I stood up, grabbed my tablet, and picked up my empty mug. "You're moving out tomorrow, right?" "Yeah," she said, hesitating. "Do you want to tell the kids, or should I?" "We'll do it together." She stood, clutching the envelope like it weighed a ton. "Tonight." I nodded and turned to rinse my mug at the sink. Behind me, I heard her let out a frustrated huff. My calm clearly wasn't going the way she'd planned. Her heels clicked sharply against the hardwood as she left the kitchen. I gripped the edge of the sink and let myself feel it for a few seconds. The cold water running over my hands grounded me. Then I locked everything back down. This was only the beginning. The real fight hadn't even started yet. That evening, we sat the kids down in the living room. Isla curled up in the armchair with her legs tucked under her. Leo sprawled out on the floor. Both of them watched us closely, like they knew something bad was coming. Olivia spoke first. "Your dad and I need to tell you something." Leo looked up hopefully. "Are we getting a dog?" I shook my head. "No, buddy. Your mom and I are separating," I said. "She's moving out tomorrow." The room went silent. Isla's face hardened, her eyes bouncing between us. Leo frowned. "Like, a divorce?" "Yes," Olivia said. "Sometimes adults realize they're better apart." "Why?" Leo asked, his voice starting to shake. "Did Dad do something wrong?" Olivia opened her mouth, but I spoke first. "No. Nobody did anything wrong. People change." I glanced at Olivia. "Your mom wants something different now, and that's okay." I saw irritation flash across her face. She hadn't expected me to put it that way. "Do we have to move?" Isla asked, her voice flat. "No," I said quickly. "You'll stay here with me. Your mom will visit, and sometimes you'll stay with her." Leo's face crumpled. He ran to Olivia and wrapped his arms around her waist. "Please don't go." She stroked his hair and murmured comfort, then shot me a look like his reaction proved something. Isla stayed where she was, too calm for a kid her age. "I'm going to my room," she said. "Isla, wait," Olivia started. "Let her go," I said. "She needs time." After Leo finally calmed down and went to his room, Olivia and I were left alone. "That went about as well as it could," she said, straightening her blouse. "They'll adjust," I replied, echoing words she'd used before, though she didn't notice. "Kids bounce back. I'll be here tomorrow around noon to get my things." "Movers?" She nodded. "I'll be at work. Take what's yours. The lawyers can handle the rest." She headed for the stairs, then stopped. "For what it's worth, I did love you. Once." I met her eyes. "I know." She seemed to expect more, but when nothing came, she turned and went upstairs. I stayed on the couch, listening to the house settle. From upstairs, I could hear Leo crying. Isla's door stayed shut. I closed my eyes for a second, then went to comfort my son. The next morning, I went to work like nothing had happened. I shut my office door, ignored calls, and buried myself in code. Numbers made sense. Patterns behaved. People didn't. When I came home that night, Olivia's closet was empty. Her vanity was bare. Perfume, jewelry, shoes, all gone. The pictures were still on the walls. The kids' artwork still hung crooked in the hallway. What was left of our life? Isla sat at her desk, books spread out, pencil moving steadily. "You okay?" I asked from the doorway. "Fine," she said without looking up. "You want to talk?" "Not really." Her pencil stopped. "Is she living with him?" I froze. "With who?" She looked up at me then. "Ethan. From the gym. The guy she's always texting." A cold clarity washed over me. "You knew?" "Yeah. I'm not dumb." She wasn't exactly hiding it. She went back to her homework. "You deserve better." I crossed the room and rested a hand on her shoulder. She leaned into it just a little. "We'll be okay," I said. "I know," she replied with a small smile. "You always have a plan." Later, after checking on Leo, who'd cried himself to sleep, I went back to my office. I opened a new document and started typing. One focus. One target. Ethan Moore. Gym owner. Mid-30s. Affair with Olivia. Timeline unclear. It wasn't much, but it was a start. And I was very good at building things from nothing. 2 weeks passed and a new routine set in. I dropped the kids off at school, picked them up, cooked dinner, helped with homework, and tucked Leo in every night. Olivia called occasionally, her voice overly sweet. On weekends, she took them out. movies, parks, shopping sprees. She brought them back loaded with toys and new clothes. Trying to buy their love, I thought. I kept it to myself. I kept digging. I joined Ethan's gym and paid for a full year up front. The place was high-end. Glass walls. Shiny machines. Everything designed to impress. Ethan was there a lot, always talking, always working the room. I stayed in the background at first, just another face. I came early, when it was quiet. I watched. I waited. On the third day, I made small talk with the receptionist while signing in. "Nice place," I said. "How long's it been open?" "About 5 years," she said. "Ethan built it from the ground up." "Huge success." "Sounds like it," I replied. "He must be a smart guy." She leaned in slightly. "Between you and me? I think he had help. His girlfriend invested early. She's got money." I raised an eyebrow. "Lucky guy." She smiled like she was sharing a harmless detail. "They've been together almost 3 years now." 3 years. The words landed hard. Isla had been 11 back then. Leo only 7. 3 full years of lies stacked on top of lies. "You know her?" I asked, keeping my voice light. "Olivia?" "Sure. She's here all the time," the receptionist said. "Beautiful woman. Always looks put together." I nodded, keeping my face neutral. "Thanks. Appreciate it." I walked away, but my thoughts were sprinting. 3 years wasn't just an affair. That was a whole second life running parallel to mine. Over the next week, more pieces fell into place. I got friendly with one of the trainers who loved to talk a little too much. I listened in the locker room. I checked social media. Olivia kept her profile spotless. Ethan didn't. There were photos of them together. Fancy restaurants. Private parties. Even a beach trip. All taken during times Olivia had sworn she was somewhere else. And Ethan wasn't the first. One casual comment from the trainer sent me digging deeper. Before Ethan, she was with that tech investor. What was his name again? That opened the door. I uncovered at least 2 more affairs. One with a businessman who traveled constantly. Another with a local artist. All those cultural events she used to attend suddenly made sense. I documented everything. Names. Dates. Locations. Patterns. I still didn't confront her. Not yet. I wasn't reacting. I was building. 3 weeks after the divorce papers were signed, a thought hit me in the middle of the night. A suspicion that had been circling for a while but hadn't fully formed until then. The next morning, I called in sick. After dropping the kids at school, I drove across town to a medical clinic. "I need paternity tests," I told the receptionist. "For 2 kids." She handed me the paperwork without blinking. "We'll need DNA samples from everyone." I nodded. "I have access to their toothbrushes." "That works." "And the mother?" "I don't need her. Just the kids." She softened a little. "Results usually take about a week." "Rush it," I said, sliding my credit card across the counter. "Please." 5 days later, the email arrived. I was alone in my office, staring at the screen, knowing this could change everything. I clicked. The medical language was dense, but the conclusion was simple. 0% probability. For both kids. I leaned back, the room spinning slightly. Neither Isla nor Leo was biologically mine. 14 years of fatherhood. A lie. 10 years. Also a lie. I stood and paced, my mind refusing to settle. The kids I raised. The kids I loved. The kids I taught and protected. They weren't mine by blood.
Their real fathers could be anyone. Maybe men Olivia never even mentioned. Then I stopped. Did it matter? Did it change bedtime stories? Teaching Isla to code? Cheering for Leo at soccer games? No. It didn't. They were still my kids. But Olivia had stolen something priceless. The truth. She'd let me believe they were my flesh and blood all these years. That night, as I helped Leo with math and listened to Isla talk about her day, I watched them closely. I searched their faces, wondering if I'd missed signs all along. I hadn't. All I saw were my kids. I wouldn't tell them. Not now. Maybe not ever. That was my burden to carry. Olivia would realize I was aware of the truth, and I would confront her about it. I slipped the paternity results into an envelope and placed it inside my briefcase. Let the games begin, I whispered to the empty room. The venue was suffocating. White tablecloths. Crystal chandeliers. Everything overly polished. Too perfect. A disguise for fake smiles and borrowed happiness. I stood at the bar, eyes fixed on Olivia and Ethan sitting in the corner. Her laugh rang out, hollow and sharp. Ethan's hand rested possessively over hers, like a claim. She wore a new dress, expensive and loud about it. He had his arm wrapped around her like she was a trophy. The perfect power couple. I straightened my tie and adjusted the envelope in my hand. This wasn't just paper. It was a weapon. One I'd spent months sharpening. I walked toward their table slowly, deliberately. My footsteps disappeared into the thick carpet. Olivia saw me first. The color drained from her face. Her laughter cut off mid-sound. Ethan followed her gaze. His smile twisted into something smug, almost pleased, like he'd been waiting for this. Still, a flicker of irritation crossed his face. I stopped in front of them, calm. Too calm. I looked at Olivia first. Hello, Olivia. She straightened, forcing composure. Nathan, she said, her voice overly sweet. What a surprise. No surprise at all, I replied smoothly. Then I looked at Ethan. So this is Ethan. The great Ethan. I've heard quite a bit about you. His hand tightened around Olivia's wrist. His jaw flexed as he leaned forward. Look, man, I get that this is awkward, but... I raised a hand, cutting him off. No, I said evenly. It's not awkward at all. I met his eyes. Actually, I came to congratulate you. Olivia blinked. Congratulate us? On your freedom, I said, my smile thin and precise. I set the envelope on the table between them carefully, making sure it was noticed without being aggressive. A small gift, I added. To mark the occasion. Olivia glanced at Ethan, then back at me. Her lips twisted into something halfway between a smirk and a wince. That's civil of you. Closure, I said, stepping back. I believe in it. I gave them one last look and turned away, my pace steady. As I headed toward the coat check, I felt tension crawling up my spine. Every step was measured. Controlled. I stopped just out of their line of sight. And turned to watch. Olivia opened the envelope slowly, like she already knew she wasn't going to like what she'd see. I watched the exact second it hit her. Her hand started to shake. The color drained from her face. Without a word, she passed the papers to Ethan. He skimmed them fast. The air in the room changed. Conversations around us dropped off. Heads turned. People sensed something had gone wrong. Ethan's expression twisted into something ugly. His eyes narrowed, his jaw clenched, and then he shot to his feet like a man who'd just been slapped. You told me they were his, he barked, his voice tearing through the quiet room. You told me they were his. Olivia flinched. She looked like she'd been punched in the stomach. I thought they were, she said weakly, clutching at the papers like they could save her. Too late.
I stepped back toward them, close enough that my presence couldn't be ignored. My voice stayed low, almost gentle.
No, I said. You knew.
Or at least you suspected. I leaned in just enough for her to hear me.
You knew exactly what you were doing. I let the silence work for me. And now, I added quietly, you get to feel it.
The words hung there, heavy and sharp.
The truth always comes out. Lies always catch up.
Everything she thought she had was slipping through her fingers. The entire room had gone silent. Even the staff froze, unsure whether to step in or back away. Olivia pressed the papers to her chest.
You can't prove anything, she hissed. This could be fake. I didn't even blink. The lab's legitimate, I said calmly. Feel free to verify it.
But something tells me you already know the truth. I leaned closer, lowering my voice even more.
The timing lines up perfectly, doesn't it?
The tech investor around when Isla was conceived. And that artist, I paused, Leo's little side project.
Ethan's face contorted with rage.
He rounded on Olivia, his fist clenched.
You said I was the only one, he shouted. You said it was just me.
Just me before this piece of crap. He jabbed a thumb in my direction. Shut up, Ethan, Olivia snapped, but it didn't matter. He slammed his napkin onto the table.
We're done, he spat, each word exploding out of him. I tilted my head slightly, enjoying the timing.
Oh, and the divorce settlement, I said smoothly.
That's going to be interesting, isn't it?
Ethan shot me a look full of pure hatred, then turned and stormed out without another word. I stayed where I was, watching Olivia.
Her face twisted between disbelief, fear, and regret.
Good luck, I said lightly, my tone almost friendly.
With everything.
I walked away without looking back, her voice trailing behind me as she tried to say something, anything.
Outside, the cool night air hit my face.
For the first time since I'd learned the truth, I felt something close to satisfaction.
My phone buzzed.
A message from my lawyer.
Everything filed. Court date next week. I typed back a quick reply. Proceed as planned.
As I walked to my car, city lights blurring past, one thought settled in clearly.
Phase 1 was complete. Now came Phase 2. The next morning, I sat at the kitchen table with Isla and Leo. Breakfast sat untouched.
I'd made their favorites, blueberry pancakes for Leo, avocado toast for Isla, but the tension was thick.
Your mom called, I said finally. She won't be taking you this weekend. Leo poked at his pancakes. Is she sick? No, I said. She's dealing with some things. Isla shot me a sharp look. What did you do?
I met her gaze evenly.
What makes you think I did anything? Because Mom's been acting weird, she said. More than usual. And now you're all quiet and calm. Like when you're fixing a big problem.
She set her fork down.
So what happened? I thought for a moment before answering.
Your mom and I are handling the divorce in different ways.
Mine just happens to be more strategic than she expected.
So you're getting back at her, Isla said flatly.
No, I replied. I'm making sure things are fair. It's about Ethan, isn't it? Leo chimed in. Both Isla and I looked at him. You know about Ethan? I asked. Leo shrugged. Mom's always on the phone. One time we met him for ice cream. He's got tattoos.
I swallowed my anger and kept my voice steady.
Yes. It's about Ethan. And some other things between your mom and me. But I don't want either of you worrying about adult problems. We're not babies, Dad, Isla said. I know, I said gently. But this is between me and your mom. I stood up and picked up my empty mug. Finish breakfast. Bus comes in 20.
Later that morning, I sat at my desk, the soft hum of the city drifting through the window. I just finished reviewing documents when my phone buzzed.
Olivia's name lit up the screen. I ignored it and let it go to voicemail.
This was her mess now. A moment later, the notification pinged.
I listened. Her voice was raw and furious. "You idiot," she hissed. "You think you're so clever. Ethan won't even look at me now." She didn't pause. "Is that what you wanted? To ruin everything?" Then, colder. "Call me back. We need to talk." I deleted the message without a second thought. My lawyer had been clear. Minimal contact. No drama. And that's exactly what I plan to do.
That evening, just as the house settled into its usual quiet, another call came in.
Unknown number. I hesitated. Something about it felt important. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Speaking," I said flatly.
"This is Ethan Moore," the strained voice said when I answered.
"We need to talk."
I stood up and closed my office door, making sure I had privacy.
"Go ahead. I'm listening."
"I don't know what the hell you and Olivia are playing at," he said, tension leaking into every word.
"But I'm done. I just want to know one thing. Are the kids mine?"
I let the silence stretch. Carefully chose my words.
"I don't know." I continued evenly. "The tests only confirm they aren't mine. If you want answers, you'll need to run your own."
There was a long pause, followed by a heavy sigh.
Jesus. What a mess.
"It really is," I said, the faintest edge of a laugh caught in my throat. "Not sure why you're shocked." "I didn't know about the other guy," Ethan said quickly, his voice defensive but worn out.
"Or that the kids might not be yours. Olivia told me you two were basically separated already. Emotionally, or whatever that means." I said nothing.
I let him fill the space. Let him feel how alone he was now.
"I'm backing off," he finally said. "Whatever you two have going on, I'm not touching it. I've got my own problems." "Problems?" I asked, though I already knew. "What kind?" "Financial audit. Questions about gym investors."
"Nothing huge," he said, but his voice betrayed him.
"I don't need more complications."
I leaned back in my chair and smiled.
The anonymous tip had landed exactly where it needed to. "Hope it works out," I said. "Yeah," he muttered. "Just wanted you to know I'm not your enemy here. I'm done." I paused briefly. Noted. The line went dead. Ethan was cutting loose from Olivia faster than I'd expected. That worked perfectly. Without his support, she'd be exposed. The next phase could start.
The following day, I sat across from my lawyer, Liam Parker, in his office overlooking Seattle. Rain streaked down the windows. "Everything is progressing as planned," Liam said, sliding a folder toward me. Judge is strict but fair, especially on contracts. The paternity fraud strengthens our position significantly."
I skimmed the documents. "And the financial side?" "Solid.
The prenup includes clear infidelity clauses. On top of that, she signed the divorce agreement without proper legal review. Legally speaking, she's forfeited claims to your assets."
He paused. "We could also countersue for damages." I looked up. "I don't want to destroy her." Liam studied me. "You just don't want her profiting from the lies." "Exactly." He nodded.
"Still playing it controlled."
"Fair enough. But be ready. Her attorney wants to renegotiate. Let them."
2 days later, I sat across from Olivia and her lawyer, Maya Rivers, in the same conference room.
Olivia looked worn down.
The cracks were showing. "This agreement is unconscionable," Maya said, tapping the papers.
"My client signed under emotional distress and without counsel." Liam raised an eyebrow. "She had 2 weeks to review the document and consult an attorney. She signed knowingly. She was emotionally vulnerable."
She'd been planning this for months, I said calmly.
Phone records show calls to divorce attorneys going back nearly a year. Olivia's eyes widened. You checked my phone? I checked everything, I said. The affairs. The timelines. The lies. It's all documented. Maya placed a hand on Olivia's arm. Let's stay focused.
Mr. Brooks, you're trying to leave my client with nothing.
Not nothing, I corrected. Just nothing that belongs to me.
I leaned forward slightly.
She keeps what she brought into the marriage and whatever assets are in her name. Given her spending habits, that's substantial. I continued evenly. The children aren't biologically mine, as you're aware. Despite that, I'm offering full financial support and requesting primary custody. That's fair. Olivia snapped. You can't do this. The house. The car. My lifestyle. You can't just take it away. I'm not taking anything, I said. I'm simply not giving you what isn't yours.
I held her gaze. You gambled, Olivia. You lost. This is revenge, she hissed.
No, I replied coolly. This is consequence.
The meeting ended without resolution, but I knew where the leverage sat.
The court date was the following week.
That weekend, while the kids stayed overnight with friends, I changed the locks. I also contacted banks, credit card companies, and investment firms. By Monday morning, Olivia's access to joint accounts was limited to legally required maintenance amounts.
Her first call came at 8 a.m. I ignored it. The voicemail was frantic. You froze the accounts. How am I supposed to live?
The hotel's demanding payment.
Delete. Second call. Same panic. The cards aren't working. Did you cancel them? You can't do this. Ignored.
By Wednesday afternoon, she seemed desperate to discuss things calmly, but I chose not to engage at that moment. Court was Thursday. The courthouse stood under a gray Seattle sky as Liam and I passed through security.
Olivia and Maya were already seated. Olivia looked thinner. Hair pulled tight. Navy suit. Worn down.
Judge, a woman in her 60s, brought the courtroom to order. Liam presented the evidence, the affairs, the paternity fraud, the signed agreements.
Maya tried to frame Olivia as a victim of emotional collapse, but the documentation was airtight.
Judge spoke clearly.
Mrs. Brooks, did you read the divorce agreement before signing? Olivia hesitated. I skimmed it. I was upset. Did Mr. Brooks prevent you from consulting legal counsel? No.
The judge leaned forward slightly.
But did you actually understand what you were signing?
Yes, Olivia said, then faltered.
I mean, I didn't really realize.
Mrs. Brooks, the judge cut in firmly, the court cannot shield people from the consequences of their own decisions. Olivia went pale as the judge continued. The agreements were valid. The infidelity clauses were enforceable. And the paternity fraud, in the court's words, was deeply troubling.
The ruling stood. Olivia would keep whatever assets were already in her name. I would retain everything else, including the house. Child support would be addressed later, pending additional paternity testing, if she chose to pursue it. The gavel came down.
Olivia sat frozen, her lawyer leaning in to whisper something I couldn't hear. I didn't feel relieved or victorious.
Just steady. Certain.
Outside the courthouse, she grabbed my arm, nails digging in. You destroyed me, she whispered fiercely, tears filling her eyes.
I have nothing left. I gently but firmly pulled my arm free.
You have exactly what you came into this marriage with, I said.
And your freedom. Her voice cracked. Where am I supposed to go? What about the kids? I shrugged. Try Ethan. Oh wait, he's dealing with his own mess.
She stared at me, realization spreading across her face.
You did that too? The audit?
I smiled faintly. Have a good day, Olivia.
I walked away and didn't look back. My phone rang almost immediately. Ethan Moore's name lit up the screen. I answered without hesitation. Ethan, I said coolly.
His voice came through sharp and furious. You reported me to a financial board.
What the hell is wrong with you?
My tone never changed.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
They froze my accounts, he shouted.
I can't even touch my own money.
I leaned back in my chair, unable to stop myself from smiling.
Rough situation, I said. Almost as bad as finding out the kids aren't yours.
There was a long, heavy silence. I could practically hear the rage boiling on the other end.
Finally, he spoke again, voice tight. She's staying with me. You know that?
Yeah, I replied flatly.
I assumed.
I can't keep supporting her with this audit hanging over me, he snapped.
She needs to leave. I'm done. I let the silence stretch, enjoying it. Sounds like your problem, I said.
Just thought you should know, he muttered before hanging up. That evening, I sat alone in the quiet house. Everything had unfolded exactly as planned. Olivia had no safety net.
Ethan was cutting her loose. And yet, it didn't feel like a victory.
I poured myself a whiskey and stared out at the rain-soaked skyline.
Tomorrow, I'd pick up the kids. Life didn't stop. The next night, I knocked on Isla's door. Got a minute?
She nodded, setting her book aside.
What's going on?
I sat on the edge of her bed.
I wanted to talk about your mom. Her expression shut down instantly. What about her?
She's having a rough time, I said carefully.
Financial stuff. After court. She didn't look at me. I'm not dumb, Dad. I can use the internet.
I smiled despite myself.
You're too smart for your own good. So you took all her money? Not all of it, I said. Just what was mine.
She finally looked up, eyes sharp.
Am I supposed to feel bad for her now? No, I said honestly. I just want to know how you're handling it. She picked at the blanket.
She called me.
Crying. Said she might have to leave town to start over. Asked if I'd go with her. My heart skipped. And what did you say? I said no.
Her voice was firm.
She lied to you. She lied to us. She doesn't deserve us.
I reached for her hand.
Isla, she's still your mother.
A real mother wouldn't do what she did. She pulled her hand back. She called me ungrateful. Said I should be on her side.
But you're the one who's always been there. My chest tightened. Love isn't something you earn, I said softly. You can be angry, but...
I already decided, she cut in, picking up her book.
I'm staying with you. I nodded. Dinner's ready in a bit.
Talking to Leo was harder. At 10 years old, he felt everything deeply. I found him in the den, controller in hand.
Hey, buddy. Pause it for a second.
He groaned but did.
What? Your mom might stop by tomorrow.
His face lit up, then fell.
Is she taking us this weekend? No, I said gently. Not this time. She's dealing with some things.
Because you took all our money, he asked.
I blinked. Who told you that? Mom texted, he said.
Said you're being mean and won't let her have money for a place. I sat beside him. That's not quite how it works. Your mom and I made an agreement, and the judge said we both have to follow it.
So she's poor now? Not poor, I said. Just not living the same way she used to. He looked at me seriously. Is it because she has a boyfriend? It's complicated. That's what grown-ups say when they don't want to explain. I smiled. You're right. You're not a baby.
She made choices that hurt us, I continued.
Now things are different. Will she be okay?
Yes, I said. She'll have to adjust, but she'll be fine.
Can I still see her?
Of course.
She's still your mom.
He hesitated.
Do you still love her?
I paused.
The anger was still there.
The betrayal.
But love?
That died the moment I heard her planning to take everything, including the kids I thought were mine. I care about her because she's your mom, I said carefully.
But sometimes adults stop being in love.
He nodded slowly.
Can I play again?
5 more minutes, I said.
Then homework.
Okay.
I'm glad I'm staying with you.
I ruffled his hair, my throat tight.
Me too, buddy.
The next morning, the doorbell rang early.
I opened it to find Olivia standing there.
She looked stripped down.
No makeup. Jeans and a simple blouse.
Hair pulled back. Olivia, I said evenly.
The kids are still asleep.
I'm not here for them, she said quickly.
Not yet. Can I come in? I stepped aside.
Inside, she looked around like she was seeing the house for the first time.
You haven't changed anything. The kids need stability.
She nodded, and we moved into the kitchen.
Coffee? No.
She sat at the counter, hands clenched in her lap.
I need to talk about the kids. What about them? I asked.
Ethan kicked me out, she blurted.
My cards are maxed. My savings are gone.
I can't afford a place.
She looked up at me, desperate. I need help, Nathan.
I took a slow drink of my coffee and studied her.
So what exactly are you asking for?
Money, she said quickly.
A loan. Just until I can get back on my feet.
She looked up at me, eyes glassy.
For the kids.
The court already settled the financial side of this, I said evenly. Damn the court, she snapped, then immediately softened, glancing toward the staircase.
This isn't about legal paperwork. This is about family. The same family you were ready to walk away from for Ethan? I asked. And the men before him?
She flinched. I made mistakes, she said quietly. But I'm still their mother.
I set my mug down.
You are. And here's what I'll do. I'll pay for a small apartment for 6 months.
Her face lit up instantly. Oh my God, thank you. Not for you, I cut in. For the kids.
So they have a place to stay when they visit.
Relief washed over her. Thank you. Thank you so much.
There are conditions, I added. Her smile faded slightly.
The lease stays in my name.
You get a job, any job, to cover food and utilities. And you follow the visitation schedule exactly.
She sighed. You don't trust me. Would you? I asked. She looked away. No. I guess I wouldn't. She stood up slowly. Can I see them? They'll be up soon, I said. You can wait in the living room.
She hesitated at the doorway. For what it's worth.
I am sorry. Not just for getting caught. For everything. I didn't answer.
Her apology didn't weigh much compared to what she'd done.
Isla came down first.
The moment she saw her mother, her expression hardened. What are you doing here? She asked flatly.
Olivia stepped forward, arms opening. Sweetheart, I've missed you so much. Isla stepped back. Really? You couldn't even call all week. I was dealing with things, Olivia said weakly.
Isla said bluntly that her father told them about the difficult situation with their mother.
Olivia shot me a look. It's more complicated than that.
No, it isn't, Isla said. You had affairs. You lied. You wanted Dad's money, and now you don't get it.
That's it. Isla, please, Olivia pleaded. I'm still your mother. Are you? Isla crossed her arms. Because mothers don't do what you did.
I don't want to go with you this weekend, she continued.
Or any weekend.
Olivia's face drained of color.
You don't mean that. I do.
She swallowed hard.
Dad didn't turn me against you. I have eyes. I heard you laughing with Ethan on the phone, calling Dad a walking bank account. Olivia had nothing to say. I hate you, Isla whispered. I don't want to see you again.
She turned and ran upstairs, slamming her door. Olivia stood there, frozen, tears streaming down her face.
She doesn't mean it, I said quietly. She's hurt. She'll come around. Olivia wiped her cheeks. Will she? Or will you make sure she doesn't? I've never spoken badly about you to the kids, I said. And I never will. I don't need to. Your actions already speak.
She turned toward the door. Tell Leo the first came by.
I'll call you later about the apartment. I nodded. I'll have the realtor reach out.
She paused with her hand on the door.
You destroyed me, Nathan. Completely. Are you satisfied now?
I met her eyes.
This isn't about satisfaction. It's about consequences. For what? She snapped. Wanting more than being a software engineer's wife? For betrayal, I said. For lies.
For using me for 15 years while sleeping with other men. For making me believe those kids were mine.
She looked away. I didn't know. Not for sure. But you suspected, I said. And you stayed silent. I opened the door. Goodbye, Olivia. She left without another word, shoulders hunched against the cold. The custody hearing didn't take long. With the paternity results and Olivia's financial instability, the judge granted me primary custody.
Olivia was awarded weekend visits.
Isla refused to go.
As we left the courthouse, I saw Olivia standing alone on the steps, looking smaller than I remembered.
For a brief second, I almost felt sorry for her. Then I remembered her plotting to take everything from me. Let's go home, I said to the kids. 6 months passed. One evening, I cooked dinner while Isla set the table and Leo fed our new puppy. Can Max have some chicken? Leo asked. Just a small piece, I said, handing it over. Don't make a habit of it. The doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone and kept stirring.
I'll get it, Isla said, setting a plate down gently. I half listened until her voice changed, sharp, tense.
What the hell are you doing here? Olivia's voice followed, strained. I need to see your father. Please. I turned the stove off.
Leo, I said calmly.
Take Max upstairs. He nodded and disappeared.
When I reached the entryway and saw Olivia soaked through, hair plastered to her head, it all made sense. It's raining, she muttered.
You're drenched, I said. You walked here?
From the bus stop.
Are you serious? I snapped. No umbrella? You just decided to walk through a storm?
She didn't answer right away, eyes darting nervously.
I lost my job, she said finally. The cafe shut down. My jaw tightened. So what's the real reason you're here?
She wiped at her face and laughed bitterly.
I've applied everywhere. No one wants to hire a woman whose resume is 15 years of housework. I stayed silent. The lease ends next week, she continued quietly. I can't afford to renew it. Please, let me see them.
They have a schedule, I said.
You know the rules.
Her voice cracked.
Not anymore. Isla won't even talk to me. Leo barely exists in my life.
She looked at me, broken.
I'm losing them, Nathan.
I let the silence stretch. Then I crossed my arms, my voice flat, steel hard.
What exactly do you expect me to do? I asked. You're not getting sympathy from me.
Her face collapsed, tears pooling in her eyes.
I know I screwed up, she said, voice cracking. But I'm asking for one thing. One chance to fix it. Just one. Please. I exhaled slowly and rubbed the back of my neck.
My voice came out colder than I intended. You made your choices, Olivia.
Now you live with them.
She stepped closer, panic pushing her forward.
I can't do this anymore, Nathan. I can't do it alone. I have nothing. My jaw tightened.
I looked at her the way you look at something sharp, careful, guarded.
This isn't charity. I've already done more than I had to. You want forgiveness? You think I owe you that? I don't.
She flinched like I'd slapped her, but she didn't back away. Her voice dropped to a whisper. You seem aware of my reaction, noticing how upset I am.
I narrowed my eyes. No. I'm not enjoying it. I'm just done being your safety net. I'm not here to rescue you anymore. I'm not your knight in shining armor. The room went quiet.
I turned toward the door, not even looking at her anymore.
It's dinner time. The kids are waiting. I'm done with this conversation.
She stayed where she was, pale and hollow-eyed.
I have nowhere to go. No job. No money. What am I supposed to do?
My voice hardened.
Figure it out. Call Ethan.
Or one of the other men you leaned on.
I'm not your solution.
She winced, the words cutting deep. You're right, she said quietly.
I deserve that. But please, help me. I studied her, my face giving nothing away. For a long moment, I said nothing.
Then, just when she looked like she might break completely, I spoke.
I'll give you 1 more month. That's it. After that, you're on your own. Relief hit her instantly, like her legs might give out.
Thank you, she whispered.
Don't, I said flatly. Don't thank me. Use the time.
I opened the door, my back to her.
Goodbye, Olivia.
She stood there for a second, then stepped out into the rain.
I closed the door and went back to my family.
That night, after the kids were asleep, I sat alone in my office, staring out at the rain streaking down the window. The conversation had rattled me more than I wanted to admit, not because I felt guilty, but because seeing her beg hadn't brought me any satisfaction. The revenge had worked. But the win felt hollow.
My phone buzzed. A text from Aurora Quinn, the journalist I'd met at a tech conference. Still on for coffee tomorrow? I smiled. Absolutely. I set the phone down and shifted my thoughts forward. Olivia wasn't my concern anymore.
She made her choices. Now she'd live with them, just like I was living with mine.
Dad, have you seen my blue notebook? Isla called from upstairs. Check the living room bookshelf, I said. You were reading there yesterday. A pause. Found it. Thanks. 8 months had passed since Olivia's rainy visit. 8 months of healing and settling into a new rhythm. The house felt lighter.
We'd redecorated together, new paint, new furniture, new memories.
The past didn't hang over us anymore.
Max, our golden retriever, came barreling into the kitchen. I scratched behind his ears.
No treats before breakfast. Dad, can Max come to my soccer game?
Leo asked, backpack slung over one shoulder. If the field allows dogs, I said, closing my laptop.
Sure. Ready for school? Almost. Did Mom call about Saturday? She texted. She's looking forward to seeing you. Olivia had found steady work at an insurance company.
The pay wasn't great, but it was enough for a small apartment. Leo had resumed visits.
Isla still refused. Cool, Leo said. I want to show her my science project. She'll love the robot arm. I'm sure she will. I checked the time. Bus comes in 10. Grab your lunch. He dashed off. Isla came downstairs, notebook in hand, headphones around her neck.
At 15, she carried herself with quiet confidence.
Ready? I asked. She nodded. Advanced Coding Club meets today. I might be late. Text me when you're done. Actually, Lisa's mom offered to drive me home. We're working on a project. I smiled. That's fine. Just be home for dinner. Aurora's coming over. Isla grinned. I like her. She's smart. She is. Hearing that meant more to me than I expected. Aurora had become important, kind, sharp, steady. She said she'd help me with my investigative project, Isla added.
She knows all the research tricks. I'm sure she'll love that.
I handed her lunch. Bus. Go. They rushed out. Max followed until I called him back. I watched the kids at the bus stop, Isla talking with Lisa, Leo wrestling with another boy. Normal. Healthy. My phone buzzed again. Looking forward to tonight. Want me to bring anything? Just yourself, I replied. Kids are excited too.
I went through my morning routine, then settled into work.
My company let me work from home most days.
My desk was covered in family photos and kids' drawings. I opened my laptop and dove into designing a high-level security system for a major bank.
I liked the work. Solving problems felt good. Hours passed quietly.
Then my phone buzzed again.
A familiar number. One I hadn't seen in weeks. Need to talk. Important. Please call when you can. I frowned.
Olivia rarely contacted me directly anymore. She usually stuck to the co-parenting app Olivia, I said when she answered.
What's so important?
Thanks for calling back, she replied. Her voice was steadier than I'd heard in a long time.
I've been offered a job. I waited. A good one. With an international insurance company. She paused. In Chicago. I let that settle. When would you start? Next month, if I accept. It's a big raise. Real growth potential. And you're calling because, I said.
Because of the kids, Olivia said quietly.
I want them to visit me in Chicago. Regularly.
I know the custody agreement keeps them in Seattle, but I'm asking if you'd work with me on travel. I leaned back in my chair, thinking it through. Chicago would mean fewer visits, but also distance, space that might actually help everyone breathe again.
Leo won't love that, I said finally. I know, she replied. I'd fly back when I can. And during school breaks, they could stay with me. If you're okay with it.
There was no manipulation in her tone.
No edge. Just calm. And Isla? I asked.
I don't expect her to want to visit, she admitted.
But the door will always be open. I nodded even though she couldn't see it. Let me talk to the kids. If they're open to it, I won't block it.
Thank you, she said, relief softening her voice.
I've been trying, Nathan. To rebuild. To do better. I know. She had stayed sober. Kept steady work. Never missed a scheduled visit. Small steps, but real ones.
There's one more thing, she added.
I got a letter from Ethan. My shoulders tensed. What did he want? To apologize. He's in Arizona now. That audit shook him.
He's working as a personal trainer.
Staying clean. Good, I said.
He mentioned you, she continued.
Said you were right.
That what happened was deserved.
She paused. He wasn't wrong. I didn't know what to say to that.
I just wanted you to hear it from me, she finished.
About Chicago. About everything. I'm not trying to win you back. I just want to be someone the kids might respect again someday.
I hope you succeed, I said, and I meant it.
Not for her. For them.
I'll let you know what I decide, she said.
Thanks for listening.
After the call, I sat there for a while, letting it sink in.
Olivia. Chicago. Distance. Maybe that was exactly what all of us needed.
The rest of the day passed in a blur of work and chores. By dinner, the house smelled like roasted chicken.
Isla came home first, buzzing with excitement about her project.
Leo followed, muddy from soccer, grinning ear to ear. The doorbell rang as I was setting the table.
I'll get it,
Leo yelled, sprinting toward the door with Max close behind. Aurora stepped inside, laughing as she tried to fend off both boy and dog.
She was tall and athletic, curly dark hair framing sharp, observant eyes.
She held a bakery box in one hand.
Easy, buddy, she said, scratching Max behind the ears. Cake is for after dinner. You brought cake? Leo gasped. Chocolate raspberry? She winked. From your favorite place. She handed me the box.
I leaned in and kissed her quickly.
Hi.
Hi yourself, she said, smiling.
Isla appeared in the doorway. You're still helping me with my project, right? I've been researching interview techniques.
Absolutely, Aurora said.
I brought sample question frameworks.
Dinner was loud and warm, school stories, work talk, weekend plans.
I watched my kids with Aurora. Isla soaking up knowledge. Leo enjoying her playful energy. It felt right.
Later, after homework and lights out, Aurora and I sat on the back porch under the stars. Max slept at our feet, twitching in his dreams. Olivia called today, I said. She's considering a job in Chicago.
Aurora turned to me. How do you feel about that? Relieved, I admitted. It'd be a clean break. More space. I reached for her hand.
Room for what's next, she asked.
I smiled. Still figuring that out. But I know who I want beside me while I do. She squeezed my fingers. Good answer.
The stars hung overhead, steady and unchanged. I breathed in deeply, feeling lighter than I had in years.
I wasn't the man frozen in a doorway, listening to betrayal. That man had been shattered, cold and rigid. The man sitting here now was different. Worn, yes, but not ruled by it. The kids were different too. Scarred, but strong. Isla's sharp mind. Leo's endless optimism. And then there was Aurora.
She'd arrived unexpectedly, but she reminded me that life wasn't just about surviving pain, it was about building something new.
Penny for your thoughts, she asked.
I squeezed her hand. Just thinking that life has a strange way of leading you exactly where you need to be.